Is, is there people in the waiting room? No.
We don't have anybody in the waiting room right now, so just the three of us to start. But let's go ahead and get going because we want to make sure that we record our meeting, and hopefully others will join us later. I'm assuming at 10 o'clock we'll have some of the voting members and deans join us, which will be great, and an alternative. So, but welcome everybody. Thrilled to be together for Teach LARC. Sorry about last Friday. Really hard one with one of my kids is really struggling. And so today's a better day. But what I'm finding is that it's a day-by-day struggle right now. I got to tell you, mental health and wellness, we talk about it with our students, but man, when you're with somebody who's struggling,
it's something else. It's a whole. This is what I say all the time. It's knowing child development and understanding it, and then having your own kids, and then having all these curveballs thrown at you. Believe me when I tell you, your child development goes out the window. All the knowledge because nothing helps.
Yeah, when it's your kid,
yeah,
family, yeah. I'm so there with you. I appreciate everybody being so kind last Friday because I didn't have a choice. We were in the hospital the night before, and so crazy time. So today's a better day, but every day right now is a struggle for one of my children. So thank you everybody for your good thoughts and nice messages in the midst of a total crisis last week. And I'm sorry too that I know today some of our colleagues are not able to make it today. We have at least one campus that started spring break, and we have the CCD group of colleges have their disciplines day. So we will be missing some of our colleagues. I see Rose and LaShawn have joined us, so I'm so thrilled that you're both here today. It's great to see you. I'll put the agenda in the chat. We have a few things to cover before.
It's a little tough. It's a little tough because we have to be at the discipline meeting. I'm a chair. So I just wanted to check in with you guys and then have to go. But, I didn't want to miss another meeting.
I appreciate it so much, Rose. I see that you put that to LaShawn that there's a conflict. So thank you for being here for whatever you're able to. Mm-hmm. We appreciate it so much. So we'll before you both have to exit, let me know so that way we can take a minute to just do a check-in about the unspent funds. But let's go ahead and get started with a little bit about Teach for LA. Also, there's only 5 of us. I don't know if we want to do like intros and everything, but if we do, we're more than welcome to. But we're kind of a small group today. Anybody want to do a quick intro?
I know everyone, and it's nice to see you today.
Yeah, I guess we're good today, right? Because we know everybody.
Yes.
Excellent. It's great to see everybody today. I'm really excited about Teach for LA, everyone. First of all, I'm always excited because it's great to produce a conference like this and bring it to our region. But I have to tell you also, I just am thrilled that we had some of these unspent funds so we can have the Teacher of the Year be our keynote. Like we have the Teacher of the Year for California, Alondra Diaz, as one of our keynotes. She's totally dynamic. She's a community college graduate. So I think she's going to really resonate with a lot of our students. And she's just a bright and vivacious 3rd grade Latina teacher. I'm just so excited to have a chance to get to work with her with Teach for LA. Good morning, Leah. It's great to see you today. And so really excited about Alondra speaking. We also have, so Alondra is going to be our keynote on Wednesday of the conference, and on Monday of the conference, Julie Brooks, who's the CEO of Woodcraft Rangers, is going to be our other keynote. Now, Julie, we are not contracting her as a keynote, just so everybody knows. I actually work with Julie on a separate project, so I didn't want any sort of conflict of interest or anything like that. So what I'm going to do personally is purchase like a nice present for her as a keynote, probably like a really good bottle of wine and maybe some other things. She actually lives close to me, so I could even get her something in the community to utilize. So, but I'm excited for her, especially Alondra's coming from the EDU perspective and the K through 12 perspective. Julie's coming from the expanded care perspective. She specializes in after school programming and summer programming. And one of the reasons why I wanted Julie to be involved in the conference is she's got 1,800 positions that she needs to fill for this summer. She normally hires 200. They are expected to be hiring over 2,000. Also, her group is really strategic when it comes to the expanded care funding that's coming out and really having true strategy for how do you really access these funds and maximize these funds. So I'm excited for Julie to come in and talk to everybody. She's really dynamic. If your college is not working with Woodcraft Rangers and would like to meet with them to see if there's employment opportunities for your students, let me know, because I've started to do some connections in our region. Just because if we can have our students get paid to do work that's on the pathway, as opposed to, you know, working food service or working retail or something that's by all means, it's a job, you know, but you're not on your pathway, you're doing something else. And so the more we can streamline the process, the better. I'm also a big believer in expanded care, everybody. I started there. I started as a camp counselor. Like that was a huge part of my training as a teacher and an educator, even though it was early in my career. So another thing that's really cool too, there's so much funding within expanded care and within what's coming with universal preschool and TK right now, that they're also looking at how do we take positions that could be in two agencies or two systems, or say we've got a K through 12 district and a community-based organization. Is there a way for those groups to work together to braid funding to create full-time positions that actually have benefits attached to them? And so they're looking at like, how do we really infrastructure this and not just do like a Band-Aid, but really like create something dynamic with possibilities. Leah, I see your hands up.
Yeah, Renee, question on Woodcraft Rangers. Are their positions are virtual or they have to be in person?
They are face-to-face. They are face-to-face. They're at, as of right now, they're at 73 sites in the Los Angeles and surrounding areas. And so during the pandemic, Leah, this was one of the groups that was first on the scene. Like
yeah, I
when
remember.
teachers were not allowed to come to campus, they had extended care programs running where that like Woodcraft would have their person, their employee in a classroom with 20 students, and the teacher was zooming into them. Do you see what I mean? So they were providing the safe environment, making sure the kids had consistency of food, consistency of care in the midst of a pandemic. And so they have a lot of opportunities, but they are face-to-face employment opportunities. Great question. So, so Teach for LA, as of right now, we're a little shy of 200 on registration. I'm not worried about that at all. Our last two conferences, we had, the last one we had, I think it was just shy of 700 registered. And the one prior to that, we had 900. And so, this week I've been working with, or not this week, but I've been working with Teach for Central California. And so I've been pushing that conference out this week to all my different listservs and last week because that conference is landing today. We have, you know, a little bit more than a week for our conference. What is it at this point? 10, 15 days, something like that. So 10 days from today. And so we just need to push it out really hard. If you wouldn't mind sending it to your, you know, the faculty you're working with, especially your intro to teaching classes, your child development, you know, all your ECE faculty, anybody who's teaching, you know, math for elementary teachers or anything. If you have capabilities to send out to your campus, you know, or put it out on Canvas or something, please do. The more, the merrier on this. Colleen.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Not camera ready yet. I have a vacation day today, but anyway, quick question about the virtual conference. I know that our NASA group is presenting, and that is a fantastic workshop. Because they submitted the form, I don't know what time, and I don't think you've published the schedule yet, but for our own calendars, can you tell me, or do you have a tentative calendar that you could share with us?
I can give you one right now. The only thing that is due to, like, don't circulate it. I'm putting it in the chat right now, okay? What I did is every single one of those presenters will get an email from me this weekend with just a quick update. They have all gotten their first choice. Oh, I shouldn't say that. There was maybe one or two that had to take their second choice, but every single one of them, I made their timing work. And I had sent an email out to the presenter saying, please check through the schedule and see if there's any discrepancies. At this point, there's people have found like little things like they want their title differently or they wanted to change the title of their presentation. So I made some of those updates this morning, but Colleen, what is there is going to be pretty close to final. Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And we have sent it out to our entire teacher track group. I think we've put it on social media. Our EDEL professors are pushing it. So hopefully you'll get a robust group from Cerritos.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I was, I've been really pleased actually, because it sounds weird to say, we're at 210 days out. That's been our trend every time. It's not like we're at 500 at this point. We're usually at like 300. And then that last week, that's when everything comes in. So thanks so much for your support. It should be a great conference. Great question, Megan. What's going to happen is I'm going to send the schedule on Monday to everybody who's registered without any Zoom links. So at this point, it's just the listing. And then Leigh and I were talking because, the flip book is the nice version of it. And so our goal is to hopefully have the flip book distributed to everybody by next Friday. So that way they've got, the full, here's the pictures of our keynotes. Here's, all the information. If you have anything you want to add to the flip book, please let Leah send it to her today. Because we don't want to go much further with that. So the schedule will go out on Monday. You're welcome. What it is right now, Megan, is very, very close to the final. There were 2 other presenters that I had not heard from, but I've locked the form at this point. So if anybody else wants to add, it might be where we say special bonus session, or you know what I mean? Something like that, which last time I wasn't so sure when I did that, I'm going to be honest. And then we had 48 people show up to the special bonus session. So I was like, it worked.
I think once you have the schedule, I think you're going to get more signups. I think people are just not sure. I'm signing up for a conference, but I don't really know if I can attend the session. So that is my plan once we have that flip book to put that on social media, and that will probably get more as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate it. Colleen, you know what? We were working with your 2 employees, and I haven't heard from them in a while. I sent an email a little while ago, but I'm not sure if maybe they're busy, or we had plans with social media to kind of push everything out.
Yeah, what's weird about you saying that is I asked Jenna this last week what's going on, and she had the same thing. She was like, oh, I hadn't heard back since we had a meeting. And so it could be her. But something was lost in the communication train.
Okay. I'll double check my emails with her. Hopefully there wasn't something I missed. I'm sure everybody's in the same boat. The email load right now has been a little.
And I can text her right now and find out exactly what she was waiting for.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know at one point she had asked us what email addresses we had set up our Facebook accounts on. And I think I sent it to her, but for me, it was this is an old email from a long time ago. So I wasn't quite sure how it was related, but thank you for helping to troubleshoot. I appreciate that. If they can help push it out this week, it'd be great. Okay, let's see. So the schedule is everybody. I'm not going to run through the schedule verbatim. Is that okay? Okay, we've got really dynamic presentations. I was completely panicked because we did not have enough people signing up by the deadline. And even with repeated requests, I was surprised about a couple groups who normally provide workshops that each want to teach for LA conferences. So, but I was able to kind of work on some other ways, and some of my partners in the leadership team reached out to some of their people. Wendy from from Long Beach, what an asset to come in and just everything she's providing is really great. Really, really great. Rose, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I'm going to have to cut out, but I know you're recording, so you can send the recording to me and to LaShawn. We'd appreciate that. We just have to cut out because we're leadership. So if we're not there, it's a bad sign for the faculty.
No, I understand that for sure, Rose. Rose, I sent an email, or I'm going to send an email asking for everybody to send in how they're spending their unspent funds. And so if you could respond to that early next week to let me know how your campus.
Let me just tell you quickly, I do not know that. We haven't seen the money. So we're having a meeting next week with my dean and the person who's in charge of those funds, the CTE person. You know her. And she's saying we don't have the money, and I'm just going crazy because I've been asking for the money, on a regular basis.
Yeah,
So,
the participation agreement for your campus should have arrived in the middle of, it should have arrived at the end of December and been returned to the fiscal agent the beginning of January.
Okay, just write me that information. That would help.
Okay,
Thank
okay,
you
I'll
so
make a note,
much.
send it to you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
please
guys.
write that clearly so that I can track it.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody.
Absolutely.
Happy day.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
Rose.
Renee, since we're talking about the, excuse me, the participant agreement. So we know that we got the participant agreement, our president signed it, and then we sent it back to the fiscal agent. But I don't know, I'm gonna confirm with my dean, but I don't think we still received the one that was signed by the fiscal agent,
Oh,
which is what we're waiting for, because we cannot do anything until the agreement is fully signed by our president and also by the fiscal agent or whoever is,
so you did not receive that at the end of January?
I don't think so.
Because
That's
we
the
were
one
told
that,
at the beginning of, I believe it was like maybe January 7th was the initial due date for the campuses to go back to fiscal agent. And then
Mhm.
I thought that they were coming out the end of January to each campus.
Yeah, so we received it and then our president signed it, and then we turn it back to the fiscal agent because they need to sign it, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they need to send it back to us, so then we can establish an account for it. I don't know, Colleen, is that your procedure too? It might be different college.
Well, I haven't checked on the status of it. And since asking Nick if they were in the process, Nick is generally pretty good and will let me know if there's an
Mhm.
issue.
Mhm.
However, I haven't, and that was one of my questions today. I haven't seen a new account or the money added to the existing account. And so Nick couldn't make today's meeting and I let him know I would report back. So I can find out from him if we received the signed agreement. In fact, I'll text him right now and ask that question as well. But, I think my biggest concern is here we are on March
March.
11th
Mhm.
and we're supposed to spend it by the 31st.
Yes.
Well, there's a little bit of a switch with that, but just a little.
Good.
Okay. And I didn't want to, I was telling Megan, I didn't want to throw a cog into the wheel for everybody when I found this out because it was like a week and a half ago. But what they're saying now, based on a memo that came out a week and a half ago, that I don't have the memo in hand though, but it was shared at the regional meeting, that all of the expenditures just need to be encumbered by the end of March, and that you actually can have a little bit more time to actually do the invoicing and the activities related. So, but we're suggesting though that you only go until maybe like May 15th, because we want to make sure that all your paperwork and everything can kind of get cleared beforehand. It's interesting what you're saying about the paperwork and the new account. I'm actually running into that right now with El Camino and our account. They're having trouble finding where the money has been placed on campus. And so Dr. Rapp is meeting with someone from accounting today, and that's one of the items that they're going to be talking about. So we have all the documentation showing that this was what was happening, but there's just a discrepancy in terms of the account number actually landing on campus and being set up and ready to utilize. So I'm sorry that this is happening on other campuses. I didn't know what things would be like with having this short of a turnaround time. So I apologize that there's some discrepancies here, but I will email Salvatrice to see what I can find out about the signed participation agreements and let her know, what's going on here in terms of the discrepancies with getting the accounts and the budgets. And Colleen, if you hear from Nick and he says either things are good or things are not, if you could let me know, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm crafting the text right now. So I'm basically saying for the additional money that our regional teacher project got, did the participation agreement come back signed from the fiscal agent to us? Rio is reporting theirs did not. Are we free to spend? Okay, I'll let you know what he says.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a really fast turnaround time. I'm really surprised. I mean, I understand the rationale with the chancellor's office in doing this, but for the practicality of the board approvals and everything, it's almost close to impossible. So it makes it really, there's actually, and we'll get into this at the 10 o'clock hour, but there's pieces within our initial brainstorming that I was not able to execute this quickly. And so I kind of had to step back, go into like a little bit of a different plan with some of that, push things to the other funding that we have that goes through June. And anyways, definitely tricky, but thanks so much everybody for the information you have. Leah, was there anything else you wanted to say?
Oh, no.
Okay, no, it's
No,
okay.
yeah, maybe I'll just add that it's almost like, I know this was being recorded, huh? They're setting us up for failure, I mean, yeah, you mentioned board approval. We're already in April board approval. So I guess we missed already the March. So I don't know how's that gonna.
I have all my stuff on the
Leah.
first one right now. It might be, not that this is ideal, but you might have to do things with it that do not require board approval.
I agree with Leah. I was just thinking the same thing and I didn't want to say anything because I always feel like I'm the one that always is not very well behaved. So
It's not true, Yadi. You're always.
I just feel like this was set up, we were set up for failure. Like, it's like, here you go, we'll just give it to you. And I'm sorry, it's not like that. I know Renee is doing a phenomenal job and she's been through a lot trying to get all this paperwork done. Really, it has, and I just want to speak out. It's not on El Camino's side because we've tried everything, believe me, when I tell you guys, behind the scenes. So I think it's really on, I don't know how things are running outside of our control. And I don't know if it's Pasadena that they haven't sent it back because Pasadena is the fiscal agent.
Yeah, I don't think it's Pasadena because they're in the middle of changing fiscal agents too. So I just think there's
It could be that.
moving pieces. You know what I mean? And so it'd be interesting to see the other project that took the 50% of the unspent funds and to see what their experience has been right now too. I don't think this is anything like against teacher prep or what we're doing at all. I think it's just whoever made the decision, I'm assuming at the chancellor's office, thought, oh, okay, well, we'll get all the contracts over the winter break, get them start of the year. They'll be good to go to spend them out by the end of March. But the practicality of what our, first of all, winter break and what that means to get paperwork accomplished during that time. Plus then, coupled with board approvals and process and procedure, it just is almost impossible.
So one of the strategies that, I don't know who's coming into the second part of the meeting, but I'm not sure how you encumber money. That's like you're invoicing later. Like if I want to purchase something, I can encumber people, I suppose. But something that I have done in every one of our projects is that there is people and time related to projects that are billed to other accounts, right? So think about how you might expenditure transfer to utilize the money that will buy you time for other projects. So Leah, I'll give you an example. For summer STEM, our recruitment and whatnot is going to be ongoing, but I only have till the 31st to pay hourly. But if hourly had been involved with teacher prep this entire time, I can transfer, the hourly that I've spent on teacher track that I'm currently using SEED, for example, to the regional project, which frees up some money to later on to continue to use for summer STEM. Does that make sense?
Colleen, that was one of the first things I did with El Camino is I had a meeting with Adriana Estrada and I said, what current expenditures do we have on SWP that expires in June? And she goes, okay, you guys have about $11,000. I said, great, we're going to transfer all those over to the unspent funds, that $80,000. So then we're working with $69,000 now.
Right.
So we're in the same boat. And Leah, if that's something you can do.
Yeah, my understanding
Your
was
salary.
encumbered before the way they defined it, and it's different college or whatever. It's different, but for us, it's when you have a PO. The date of the PO was created. Then it's considered encumbered in our college. But I think that may have also changed. I know Bruce showed me a memo from the fiscal agent, I think, that defines encumbrance. But actually, yeah, and I understand your recommendation, Colleen, and that's really the way to go. I actually plan to spend my money on part-time counselor, success coach, and faculty stipends. Nothing purchase or anything like that because you never know when you're going to get those those equipment or whatever it is you're purchasing. So
I know we're going to have a little bit of funding left over, I believe. And so one of the ways that we're planning for that as well is I'm already talking with the El Camino bookstore about any monies that are left over. We're going to be purchasing CBIST and CSET test prep booklets. Since it's an on-campus vendor, it doesn't have to have any additional approvals. It's just a direct purchase. And so I just have the money kind of sitting there for them. And so, not ideal. It's ideal when you have like a lot of flexibility and you can really, kind of plan it exactly how you want to execute. But at the same time on this, be strategic. And if you can do exactly what Colleen was saying, that's something that's going to kind of extend the funding a little bit in terms of spending it out. If anybody has any issues, let me know too. When we get to the 10 o'clock hour, we'll do a little more reflection with kind of sharing how people have been spending out or are working on the spend out right now. But I really appreciate this conversation because we want everybody to be able to be successful. And, one of the reasons why we're meeting with the voting members and the deans later in this meeting is because there were some campuses where whoever was the lead in our group was not communicating with their CTE leads about what was going on. And so there was a break of communication. So it'll be good to bring everybody together so we can all get on the same page. One other thing I want to note, I am going to send an email asking everybody to submit to me just a little paragraph about how you have used the funds or what your plans are for using the funds. Megan, since you have pictures from your event, it would be really great to include some of those if you don't mind. But we want to make sure we have this fully documented. So if at any point anybody asks, we can say, here's exactly what this campus is doing, here's what this campus is doing, and whatnot with it. I hope everybody's cool with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing, we have within our unspent funds, we've allocated $32,000 to purchase promotional marketing items for our different colleges. And once we get into the 10 o'clock hour, I'll show the kind of specifics about everything. I have all the artwork and stuff on my desktop right now. But one of the things with that is I was thinking about the logistics of ordering, I think it's like 9 different products, if I remember correctly, and all of the things shipping in separately. And then how do I get it to 16 campuses? And like, I'm just thinking about like the logistics of all of this. And so I met with Via Promotionals and I said, look, like I need help to kind of figure this out. And she said, no problem. What if we have it all shipped here? You and I can like break it down, package it for each college. And then I said, I don't know if I'm going to have enough space in my car. And she goes, not a problem. I'll either bring a van or I can rent a car or, rent a truck or something if we need to. We were trying to purchase items that were not going to take up massive amounts of space. In addition to fitting very specific criteria of making sure that they're more tools for our students, tools to help them be successful in school. And so one of the things with this is I think it would be really nice to have a day in May where we all come to the El Camino campus, we have lunch together, we sit outside, and then everybody gets their marketing materials and brings them to their campus. So I just wanted to bring that up, see what everybody's thoughts are on something like that. I'm thinking maybe like middle of May, like maybe that Monday, May 16th, something like that. Anyways, just want to feel it out and see your thoughts.
I'm cool with that.
That works for me. I teach all day Monday, but I would love to do that sometime.
Okay.
We can call it Christmas in May.
Christmas in May. And I'm calling it the Teach LARC retreat because it's going to be a time for us to come together. I'm already working with campus catering. I already got approval for us to utilize some of the funding for food, which I was thrilled because I wasn't sure if that was going to be a hang up. So it was not. And so anyways, we'll work on that and I'll come up with a date, Megan. Hopefully we can get one that works well too with everybody's schedule. Plus it'll be nice to come together. That's a good thing to do. Okay, let me see what else we've got here.
If not, Megan, I can take all your stuff and you can pick it up from my house. You're only in Long Beach, or I can take it to your house.
Sure. I'm sure we'll do a poll to see which
Yeah.
dates are the best. Yeah.
Totally. And it'll probably just be that 1 week in May because we're going to want to get stuff out, and get it back to everybody's campus and stuff in time. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. Also, sorry to go back to the that little paragraph I was asking about for the unspent funding. I just was looking at my notes. Please make sure that when you send it, you CC your voting dean and alternative also, because we really want to make sure that that they are constantly in the loop. So let's take a few minutes to do some campus updates and just a little bit of discussion to see where things are at this spring. I know last time we met, it was really interesting because we had a lot of our schools that had planned to kind of go back to more of a face-to-face for this spring. And then with our enrollment, we were seeing that was not totally feasible. And so a lot of the campuses were pulling back and putting some of their courses online. So it'd be great to just kind of get a feel where every campus is at right now and what the plan is for summer and beyond. Leah, would you mind starting us off?
Okay, say that again. Which one do you?
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off there. But like, what are the plans? Like, how is spring going right now?
Okay.
How, are people showing up?
Yeah.
That's part of it. And then what does summer look like for your campus and your program, and then also fall?
All right. Okay, so right now spring is starting really well. We're still not in person, right? Most of our students are still remote, but yeah, it's starting really well in terms of, especially with the CPTP project. We did get enough students to be part of the program, and we are having some people drop off, but not as much as we thought it would be. So, and we're replacing them as we go as well. So as far as that's concerned, that's going really well. And then summer, we have like camps that are planned. We actually have a camp coming too in April. So we're going to involve our students in that. And then summer, we're going to be very busy with the summer camp as well. And then in the fall, we're thinking we're doing a lot. We're going to be really planning for like in-person activities. Yeah. As far as
Leah, will you be 100% in person for activities in fall, or are you thinking blended, or what are you?
I think it will be blended depending on the situation, because we really know when things change every week, right? So yeah, so I'm planning more of a blended right now. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Leah. Megan, do you want to go next?
Sure. I was writing something about my summit right then. So tell me if I'm off of what the goal is. I think I understand you want just a regular update. And so LBCC, we have our education classes that actually just started. They're 12-week late start classes, and they're going well. Field work has started to emerge as possible to be on campus, with LA Unified taking a few students. Long Beach Unified meeting with me later today to talk about if they can take a few, and Garden Grove takes students. But our problem was that our vendor, right before spring semester started, changed ownership and didn't have permission to live scan. So we had to tell students not to live scan because we wanted to pay with our grant. So they had to use our person, and we're waiting till next week for them to live scan. So reports will come in later. So I'm absolutely not sure if we'll be able to get that in time for districts to say, sure, we'll take someone for a month and a half, right? Or 2 months. But we're hoping they can supplement some of their virtual alternative fieldwork with in person. As for the unspent funds and all of that, things went well. We really hustled on our end and got a lot of expedited requests. We threw an event yesterday, the Ethnic Studies Summit at our campus, and it was a big success. It was interesting. We opened it up to some community partners in our local K-12. We had a few folks asked to join from other campuses. We included a few folks from the region, and long story short, we had 76 folks come, but that was about 26 no-shows. So I think that showed us that some people are tentative about coming back, but everyone felt like it was a success. It didn't feel empty. It felt great. And so we're happy to be bringing people back. Students seem excited about the other workshops for Teach for LA and the other ones we've been sharing. But we got to share that with students virtually, but I think they're inundated with emails. So last week was our first time in person with our students to say, hey, go to this event. This is why you're seeing these emails. This is like the best kind of thing to do. Go register. So I'm excited for Monday to share the final schedule with them so they can actually open up their calendars on their phone and plug in the times that they're going to be going.
Well, and they've got a lot to choose from. That's one thing that's really nice. It was funny because I was working with somebody earlier this week and their session conflicted with 2 other sessions. And I was like, I don't know if you want to like change times. They're like, yeah, I totally want to change time. I don't want to conflict. I was like, good. So more for our students, less for them to choose. Wait, we don't want them to have to choose and not be able to go to everything. We want them to go to as much as possible. Megan, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for the update. Colleen, are you okay to unmute and let us know how things are going at Cerritos right now?
Yes, am I muted? No, I'm not muted. I'm semi-camera ready at this point. So Nick, okay, I emailed my fiscal guys, so just, and I'll give you, if I get an answer back, I'll let you know. Jenna just said, I left off with adding them to the Facebook and playing around with the footage from their YouTube. I can plan out some posts today. I'll email Renee about a plan. So
Perfect.
hopefully you'll hear from her, and I apologize. I didn't know that had stopped. Things are crazy at Cerritos, particularly just in the dual enrollment area, unrelated to teacher prep. As you know, Carla took another position, and so I've had to take on more of that, which, thank God for an amazing team, but it's been very CPTP focused, and my time has been all over the place because we now have 3 early college programs, and I'm the face of all of that. So apologies as I've multitasked in meetings and, all of those things, but things are going well in teacher track. We're currently trying to figure out if we can have an in-person ceremony at the end of the year, an outdoor in-person ceremony. The issue right now is that we have a vaccination mandate, and that would apply to students to participate in graduation as well. And so we'd like to survey the students and find out, I don't want to exclude someone because they chose to finish online, but I don't know if it's large enough or if it's too large to even have on campus. And I'm waiting for the powers that be to tell me that threshold and that number. So anyway, we're anticipating about 70 transfer students. And I'll tell you, CPTP has really revealed a lot more about our students, because there's another level of, people contacting us to say, hey, did you know this about this student? Or, and the level of need sometimes exceeds what a mentor is really called to do. Like, I had a one-on-one meeting with a student yesterday that I swear, being in her room for 2 years, finishing high school, and now this first year of college, it was like a conversation I've never had before. Like, she just doesn't even know how to function as a human being, let alone as a student. So, and we can't ask our mentors to necessarily mitigate that, but it does help us direct the students to appropriate resources on campus. And so what I'm finding in these really exceptional cases is, let's take you out of CPTP right now, but you can still utilize all the resources. And then let's try again, because you don't need 30 more hours of stuff right now. You've got to concentrate on your classes. You've got to, but without CPTP, we wouldn't even know, and they probably would be dropping out of school. So even though they're not finishing, it doesn't mean that there isn't a positive there, right? So anyway, that's a lot of what's going on. And then just still being remote. We came back 50% in person, but there's distancing on campus. So you can't be in the same offices together. So it's still very weird. They're trying to determine, summer, the distancing will be gone. The employees will be required to come back 3 out of 5 days in person. They're trying to determine if there's going to be masking. It's just a lot of discussion, and I'm on the campus leadership team. So that's another level of, busyness that impacts everything. So thank God for Sue and Dion and Kimberly and Angie and Monica. But that's what's going on at Cerritos.
It's interesting because right now in K-12, so much is opening up. Like, it's fascinating that we're still going, like, will we be okay to have an outdoor reception for 80? Because I know at my kids' school, like a week and a half ago, they had a dance outside with 600 kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And starting on Monday, they're not wearing masks at all. And so it's just interesting watching our process and procedures catch up in a sense. You know what I mean? From our community college system. Colleen, I really appreciate what you were saying about the CPTP program that's at 3 of our LARC campuses and just that kind of extra level with the mentor. We actually had something really interesting happen at our campus with one of our mentors. The mentor is actually full-time at Santa Monica, was working with an El Camino student last semester. The student is a re-entry male who's in teacher prep in his late 40s. So he is absolutely a very specific population, right? And the mentor came to me and said, Renee, I hope this is okay, but I encouraged him to actually enroll in my campus this semester because if he's on my campus, I can hook him up to every single resource he needs. Whereas I'm mentoring on your campus or on El Camino's campus, I don't know everything. She goes, so he's technically staying on El Camino and taking 1 unit so he can be part of the program, but he's moving his bulk of academic work over to Santa Monica. So now they can get him
Interesting.
halfway and expedite him. So just some things coming out from that project that we didn't expect, but that's part of, you know, being involved in a federal research grant and kind of sharing this information as we go along. So I think those stories will be part of the overall CPTP story when it comes out. Yadira, anything that you'd like to share about El Camino and things that are going on there, or would you like me to do the El Camino update?
Yeah, no, I can share it. Not a problem. I'm actually listening to everybody and piggyback on Colleen's situation. I think we all encountered just like she mentioned, the different level of necessity that our students have that I don't think we were preview to. We thought everything's going well and dandy, and I think that you know students are students and they don't complete for certain reasons. But actually, at El Camino, we've also found we've had our share of students really that we found about with the program that they're struggling not only just financially but mentally and just emotionally. And so I think for us as well with the CPTP program, just looking at we're looking at our students, I feel, in a different way and with different lens now. And our mentors cannot handle that, just like you mentioned, Colleen. I mean, let alone, direct our students. And so that's actually happening with us at El Camino as well with the CPTP. We are back on campus. Some of our classes are actually back on campus. We have maybe out of all of the child development classes, we have about 4 that are on campus. Because at El Camino, believe it or not, our students are registering for online courses more than the face-to-face courses. Turn on my camera so you guys can see me. And so that's been happening at El Camino. So a lot of the enrollment is really on the online courses. I actually was going to be teaching a face-to-face course coming up this summer, but the registration was so low. And when they switched it to online hybrid, it completely got full. And so that's what we've been seeing. And so they're probably going to have it hybrid beginning. We're going to have a lot of classes hybrid before we go completely back to campus. On our end for the Child Development Club, they're having a lot of events coming up. They are working on a lot of the events with the campus. Teach El Camino is actually hosted a workshop yesterday on special needs, but they're trying to bring back their best event. You guys remember I shared it with you last semester. We're going to have it again this semester. Janice Jeffers, who's the coordinator for Teach El Camino, is the one working with Cynthia Cervantes, who's the child development advisor, and they're the ones who put it together. I used to help them out before CPTP came into our lives, and CPTP has taken over us. So I am no longer doing a lot of the VEST events. I can't do it. I can't possibly do it. And so anything that's coming down from them, they usually let me know and I forward to you guys, but that's what's happening with our students. There was something else I forgot I wanted to share. What was it? I'm thinking, it'll come back to me. And I think it was with special needs or we were talking about something, putting together sort of a workshop for our students in the summer, focused on special needs. And we were talking about that with the faculty. But once I have a more set date, I'll let you guys all know.
Yadira, if you're interested, I'm friends with the head of special ed for the 5 districts in my community. We were emailing and texting earlier this week. I know she's not LA, but she's pretty close and she's really knowledgeable. So if at some point she would be of interest, let me know. because she's awesome. And she's a woman of color.
I think the reason why I think the conversation came up, because I've had actually students ask me, remember when we had Lisa and the Care Collaborative do the workshop for us? I've actually had a lot of students ask me from Rio Hondo, if I'm bringing back the lady of anti-racist, they keep telling me. And with my classes as well, because I made them watch the recording, they were asking me about it. And I thought, okay, maybe in the summer we can put together a workshop. But honestly, guys, with everything going on with CPCP, I told everybody, give me just a couple of minutes to breathe and get Rex done, and then we can talk about it, bring it back to the table. But that would be,
We've got Lisa coming in spring, so we can at least get them to her anti-racism workshop. And that's something in the second hour today. We're going to get into the list of all the great trainings that are coming out for our region.
Absolutely. I think we have, if you guys, we've had so much opportunities for our students. I was able to have my class. We were talking about something, and I went back to teach for LA for the last year. And I was able to pull a couple of workshops from there. And I was thinking, wow, we just have so many resources. We don't even have to, it's like we have so much resource we can just share with the rest of the faculty, because that's what I did. So anyways,
people are appreciative. I mean, just this week, Coastline College contacted me saying, hey, want to see if there's any other Teach for LA videos coming out, because we're using them in our intro to teaching class as a work alternative. And I was like, absolutely, we have a whole new set of programming coming.
The professional development, at least for the introduction to education courses, that's just for me. And I don't know how you feel, Megan, but that's key for me. I'm like, we have professional development to go for years to come. Yeah.
I love that you said that, and they're good. That's one of the best things. Like, you look at these workshops and things that we produce, they're good. And there's a lot of really like cutting edge presenters. I'm proud of our content and what we've done.
I don't like the process, but I like the outcome.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Okay. Our burger is entering the waiting room. I think we're going to start seeing some of the voting members and deans come in, and I don't know everybody. So, Kelly, I wanted to ask Kelly, would you like to share any update? I know you're double tasking though, so you can say.
Yeah, I just wanted to pop in and say hi. And
yeah, no, that's totally cool. No pressure.
We have our district discipline day. So pretty much everyone's there, but I'm like, oh, if I don't log in on my Zoom account, I can do 2 meetings at once.
Well, I appreciate it so much. And I'm sorry about the conflict. I truly had an emergency last week with my
child. No worries. I hope everything's okay. We're taking about 30 of our practicum students to the KIT conference.
Are you serious?
Well, we're trying. It's a lot of work, but we are so excited. And it's been like having the Teach for LA conference and giving them that opportunity. I feel, and they're getting half of their hours at our CDC. I feel like for the first time, like in a couple of years, like we're really giving them good stuff.
Good.
So
they're literally doing half face-to-face and then half in the virtual space then,
because most of our mentor programs aren't accepting in persons yet. We have 2 programs that are, and so what we're doing is we're sending 1 or 2 a day to each of our 2 classes, and they go all day once a week. So they go from 7:50 to 3:30 1 day a week, so they'll do that for 7 weeks.
Okay,
and then
I know, over time we have sometimes said that was not the best case model. I totally disagree.
Right.
Even pre-pandemic, because when you can get from start to finish and really engage in what the whole day looks like, it's very different than if you go in for, circle time, or you go in for outdoor play, or you know what I mean? That's one snapshot. This is here's what the truth is of the day.
And then our college is providing COVID tests. So every day when our students go, they check in, they do a rapid test, just because, we're putting a lot of extra bodies in there. So that's been really great that our VP bought all those tests. And usually we didn't do the whole day either before, but part of it is because of the regulations, I guess. If they're there more than 1 day and somehow test positive for COVID, it could shut down the classroom, but 1 day is not, I don't know. So anyway, hopefully things are just, getting better, but yeah. And then we're also planning, just got quotes on a fingerprinting event. for the students. So we want to get a lot of students applying for their permit.
Excellent. Kelly, and you already have a fingerprinting group, or do you need?
Yeah, LaShawn had told me about a service called A1 that
Yep.
is a vendor for our district, which makes things so much easier. So we're working on that as well. But I mean, we still have, you know, a little more funds that we could spend. So I'm trying to figure that out.
I
So.
love it. I love it. I love it. That's wonderful. It's exciting to hear how the investments are being used, you know?
I'm so excited for our students to go to a professional conference because, I mean, even I think when they start working in the field, you know, they're so expensive that it's probably years and years before a lot of them would even experience that.
You know, Kelly, I've had a
So,
really interesting kind of reality check with one of the K through 12 districts where we're working with the lead of early care for the district.
mhm,
And I just made an assumption because there's so much professional learning in our system. I made an assumption that those opportunities were available as well.
mhm,
She had to write a grant in order to go to one conference,
mhm,
and it was out of state, which was a very big deal from the whole district.
mhm.
She told me, she's like, well, I've been with the district like I think 8 years. That was my first conference. And I'm like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, as one of the you're leading the early care programs for this entire district.
Yeah.
And so I really love that you are investing early and also professionalizing them early where they can go,
Mhm,
wait, I can go to a conference. I know I got invited to speak at my first conference when I was like maybe 19 or 20 on qualitative and quantitative research methodologies. And it was like, it changed who I was.
mhm,
You know, the moment somebody like that, like believed that I should be
mhm.
there, it was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And I'm like, you know, some of them were hesitant, I think. And I was like, it's like a buffet of education. I'm like, you can choose to put on your plate whatever you want out of all these different things, you know? So,
I think a
yeah,
lot
so
of it
it's
is the
exciting.
fear of the unknown right now. I feel
Yeah.
like our students are not in a place of risk. They're in a place of comfort, and
Hmm.
anything that's out of the comfort zone is just like not even attainable right now. So for you to be like, go to the conference,
Hmm.
experience it, live it, you know,
Yeah.
they might need that right now.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going to be having a discussion later on in the day in the child development discipline. I don't think any of my colleagues are here, but you know, we've had a problem this semester and over winter where some of even our sister colleges are offering curriculum online with no live interactions. A lot of us lost all our students to one college that offered like 6 sessions of, you know, and I have students in my practicum who took our curriculum class online at another college in winter, did one lesson plan and it was a craft, you know. So we're going to have a very, I think, interesting conversation today about, you know, the quality of training. We can't just be convenient. We have to be quality. And I met with my practicum class. I'm literally one of the only classes that's meeting on campus. And the students that weren't in the classroom their lesson plans for the other students. And that usually happens in our CD7 classes. And they're like, this is so fun. This is great. I'm like, and look at all. And I said, please encourage your friends to come, you know, back when they feel comfortable because they're missing out on a lot of important things. A
Absolutely.
lot of classes can be done online, but there's
Not in
several that
person.
just, you know, are so much better in person.
I agree with you 100%.
So,
I appreciate your reflection on that too. And I do see that we're going to have a whole different, we need to start preparing for the next groups of
mhm,
our students and what their needs are going to be because they're going to be
yeah.
very specific.
And
I
you
know
know,
we're
it's getting cutthroat for enrollment. So then like some of the colleges are just doing what they doing to do to get the students to come in, even though it's not best practice.
I'm going to tangent for just a second. I believe that's part of dual enrollment that's happening right now as well.
Yeah.
That we're just exploding things. We are 1 minute till 10, and we have some of
Okay.
our deans that are coming in, voting members. And
Okay.
Mercy's here. Thank you for being here. I hope everybody's okay. I'm going to pause for just a minute to take a quick restroom break,
And
and
I'm
then
going
I'll
to jump out.
okay.
All
So
right.
I'm gonna pause recording for about 1 minute and
Uh-huh.
then go off camera, and then I'll be right back, everybody. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Good
See you
to
soon.
see you.
Be right back. Okay. We have a couple more people joining us. Thank you everybody for being here. We just took like a quick minute restroom break. And so We will have some people logging back in just a second, or unmuting and joining us in just a second. Let me go ahead and put the agenda in the chat for those of you who've just joined us. It's great to see you today. Appreciate everybody being here. I'm thinking, since this is the first time that we've all been together like this, that it might be good to just take a minute to do some quick introductions. So that way everybody who's on has a chance to get to know each other a little bit more. My name is Renee Marshall, and I am supporting the Teach LARC project. That is El Camino College is currently the lead on the project. When the project was first initiated, Rio Hondo was the lead. And we continue to work with Rio on this project, but we're excited for everybody to be here. And let me see, Megan, can I hand it over to you and you can do a quick intro?
Hi, I'm Megan Kaplinski from Long Beach City College, and I'm the Reading and Teacher Preparation Department head.
Do you want to pass it to Megan? That way we can just kind of.
Sure, Leah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Leah Martinez, and I'm the STEM CTE Teach project manager at Rio Hondo College and for the Community Partnerships for Teacher Pipeline. And let me pass it to Yadira.
Thank you, Leah. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I'm Yadira Llano. I'm also at El Camino College and Rio Hondo College, but I'm currently the lead for the teacher preparation program at El Camino College. And I'll pass it over to, let's see who is here. Marcia.
Hi, I'm Marcia Wilson, Dean of Pathway Innovation and Institutional Effectiveness at Los Angeles Trade Technical College, and I'm in charge of strong workforce, both local and regional projects. And I'll pass it over to Cheeto.
Why did I know you were passing it to me? Hi, everybody. Cheeto Kahain. I'm the Dean over Advanced Transportation and Manufacturing, Business and Civic Engagement, and Design and Media Arts. So I'm representing mostly the BCE pathway on this call. Looking forward to supporting where I can. And so I will pass it over to Mr. Brown.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Wiley Brown. I'm at Pierce College. I'm the grants coordinator, and I'm going to pass it over to our dean, Mon.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mon. I'm the dean of CTE over here at Trade. Oh, no, not Trade. Pierce. Sorry. I think it's out of mind. So, and I'm going to pass it over to Megan.
I'm going to pass it because I'm at Long Beach City College Teacher Prep. I'm going to pass it to Yadi because I shared a little bit right before you joined.
So,
To me?
I'll go ahead and go, Yadira.
Sorry.
Hi, everyone. My name is Colleen McKinley. I'm the Director of Educational Partnerships and Programs at Cerritos College. Our teacher track program sits in my department, as well as Promise, Dual Enrollment, and Learning Communities. And I am fortunate to work with Nick Rial as the CTE Dean, and I'm representing Cerritos at the meeting today. And I'm supposed to pass it. Mercy.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mercy Yanes, Dean of, I was going to say Dean of everything. No, I'm being facetious. It feels like that today on Friday. I am Dean of Academic Affairs and Workforce Development, but I also have a leg in Student Services. Happy to be here, and just would like some updates if possible, because we weren't part of the original project. So we'd like to know if we are part of this project. And that way I can invite my faculty to join. Thank you for having us.
We are very happy that you're here. Mercy, I'm
sorry, I forgot to pass, Renee. So I will pass it to my friend from Rio, Mike. You're on. I need more coffee.
I'm going to go get a cup in just a minute. Mike Slavich, Dean of Career Technical Education, Instruction, and Apprentice. And just sitting in, I got Leah here. I don't have to worry. I'm just going to listen. Thanks.
why don't we go ahead and pass over to Mary Ann? I think we have maybe 2 or 3 more people to intro.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Ann Smith. I'm the director of the Institute for Completion at Citrus College.
And Armin, if you're able to unmute and intro, that would be great.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Armina Dadarian. I'm the Dean of Career Technical Education here at PCC. It's actually spring break and I'm on the road, but I am checking in.
I appreciate you being here, and I'm so sorry that this is spring break. I apologize, but thank you for still being part of it. I appreciate it.
No need to apologize. This is important work.
Well, thank you. I hope we have everybody. And is there anybody I did not intro? Leah, did you intro? You did, right? Okay, we're good. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. We really appreciate it. Had the chance to come together and to share kind of, what's been going on with Teach LARC and specifically with the unspent funds. So I have some documentation that I'd like to share with everybody. So I'm going to put a couple things in the chat for you to start, just kind of start looking over. Hopefully there, it'll cooperate. So in here, you're going to see that the request that we initially sent over to Audrey that kind of showcased the different colleges that are going to be involved with the project. Just so everybody knows too, what happened with this was there was an opportunity for some unspent funding. One of the things within teacher prep is that I hope this doesn't sound cheesy, but we're like always ready with a plan. So I learned that very, very early in my career when I was at College of the Canyons. I had an opportunity once at my Child Development Center where Supervisor Antonovich came to us at the end of May and said, "We have $350,000. Can you spend it by June 15th?" And I learned from my boss right at that moment that you always have a plan ahead of time. And so on the spot, she's like, "Yeah, I can spend $350,000." And they did within a 1-month calendar. And so when it came to the opportunity of there's unspent funding, Yadira was at that meeting and said, yes, teacher prep can. And so we brought that back to our team in December and January. And our team right now, technically, we have 13 colleges that are funded, but we have 16 colleges, 16 or 17, depending on the day, that participate with the project. And so when we first were given the opportunity with the unspent funding, we were hoping that all of the colleges that are currently, participating in Teach LARC could be eligible for some of that $286,000. Unfortunately, we were not allowed to bring in additional campuses, which we fully understand because the paperwork, it needed to be who was the last group that was funded. And so what we did as a team is we wanted to make sure, one of the things that we do is we try to operate inclusively as much as possible. And so when we realized that a couple of our partner colleges were not going to be able to utilize the funds in the same way that the current participating colleges were going to be able to, we wanted to take some of the allocation and hold a little bit extra at El Camino. So that way we could collaboratively figure out what type of trainings and workshops and kind of resources we wanted to bring to the region and still make sure that the students that attended those, the non-participating campuses could still be involved. And so though we have 13 that are actually getting the funding, this is a larger collaborative project. And when we get into how the expenditures are actually coming out for the larger regional sum, you'll kind of see kind of where we're going with this. But any questions on this first document here? And for the voting deans, I apologize that I didn't send this directly to you. I thought I was following the proper channels, and excuse me. I come from the South Coast Central region, and one of the things I've learned is that every regional structure is not the same. So I was hoping that your chairs and whatnot shared this with you, but if not, we'll just make sure moving forward that every document that we send out within our region, we're going to include all of you on. I'm sorry, hopefully it won't feel like an inundation of extra emails. I know you're really taxed and have a lot of emails already, but we want to make sure that we keep you in the loop with everything. So we also want to share how we're going to be spending these out and what those investments look like. And so I'm really excited to share this with you because this is like, you can't, I mean, I guess everybody can't imagine how much this takes in order to get this kind of paperwork and everything in this really, really short time frame. And so we're very lucky in that in our region for the next like month and a half, we have so much professional development and professional learning opportunities. We were able to take the unspent funds that came to El Camino College, brainstorm with everybody across the region for 2 planning meetings to see what the gaps were. You know, we had multiple campuses that said, we want anti-racism training. We want some training on how do we humanize this experience for our students. We had specific ECE faculty that were like, we need more ECE specific workshops. We need some ECE leads coming in and helping us. We also had people that were interested in conscious discipline and not just having that be a one-time training, but have it be a multiple series of training. So that way you could really get an in-depth look at what does that mean when we're talking about teacher preparation, working with children and families. And so we're really excited to bring this programming to everybody. And it's starting soon. We're starting with our board meeting, fingers and toes crossed, approving every single contract that's on this list is happening on March 21st. And so our programming begins immediately following on like March 22nd, 23rd. The very first person that we're investing in bringing them into our region is quite exciting. Alondra Guzman Diaz is a community college graduate and she is our alumni, and she's also California's Teacher of the Year. And thank you, Marianne, for connecting us with Alondra. Marianne was one of Alondra's mentors early in her career and was able to help us connect with Alondra. And we're actually excited because I don't think that Alondra coming in as the keynote is just the only thing she's going to be doing with us. So I'm excited to get that relationship going and working with her. A couple years ago, we were able to bring in a Teacher of the Year to speak to students. And it's one of the most exciting things ever because when they can see themselves in that person, the inspiration and motivation that they get from that moment can sometimes be like a pivotal moment in terms of their career development. So really exciting for that. So as you can see, we've got lots and lots and lots of great professional development events coming up. I still need to take this and put it into more of like flyer versions for advertisement. I've been focusing on the Teach for LA conference, which is coming up March 21st to 23rd right now. And so I haven't had a chance to take these and make them cool and snazzy looking yet, but we will. I also wanted to note that one of the other shared priorities of the region was to try to get some promotional materials for marketing for our programs that were specifically more like tools for our students. And so we took a little bit shy of 50% of the funding at El Camino. I think it maybe ends up being about 45% of the funding that we received. And we are putting it into getting tools for our students. Like we know that our students have food insecurities, many of them do. So 2 of the items that we purchased, one was a really nice cooler bag. So if anybody has a food bank on their campus with perishable goods, our students can come there, grab some goods, put them in their bag and have them with them or take them home. We also purchased like a shopping bag so they could do that as well. And it's kind of nice because it's one of those little tote bags that folds up really small and you can throw it in your backpack or honestly even like clip it to your pocket, something like that. We also got things that we thought would help them connect to class, like having a battery pack. So we know so many of our students are reliant on their phones right now for their academics and being connected to our colleges. So we were able to purchase some battery packs. We also knew that our students were experiencing heightened mental health concerns. And so as a region, we wanted to invest in that as well by having things like stress balls, having things like just ways to help them feel better about things that are going on. One of the things that we also purchased are some Teach Los Angeles aprons. And so this is for when we get to go back face to face and we're doing events. An apron might sound like an interesting thing to have. In teacher preparation, it's very common, especially in early care, to wear an apron when you're working with kids. For those people who go into TK through 12 teaching or higher ed, aprons are not as common, but it just allows you to have the supplies you need while you're working with children and family and people. And so once we're doing more events face to face, you'll see our students wearing those aprons. A nice thing about the aprons too is they're really easy to wash after events and reuse with multiple, people and whatnot. If we decide to do that, each program will determine what's going to be best for them. And so in a moment, I'll show you some of what these items are. We also are investing in a bookstore purchase where we're getting some CBEST and CSET test preparation booklets for the campuses in the region. And then we are going to be hosting a Teach LARC spring retreat. It's going to happen mid-May. It's going to be outdoors. It'll be at the El Camino campus. And at that retreat, we're going to be distributing all of these different items, the promotional marketing items that we've purchased. And we will also be having lunch together, and it'll be the first time we'll be seeing each other face to face since pre-pandemic times. So we're excited for that opportunity to come together because it's been a while. Before I go on to more documentation, I'd like to just quickly do a check-in to see if anybody has any questions or clarification or anything that they'd like to mention right now.
Oh, sorry, Marcia. You raised your hand and I just jumped in.
Oh, that's okay. You can go ahead, Mercy.
Really quickly, Renee, so all of these are open to, even if we're not a recipients of funding, I can share this with our faculty and they can participate.
Mercy, absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
100% inclusive, 100% inclusive. And so any students that, and a lot of the trainings too, we're going to have us, we're doing kind of side by side where we have a faculty and staff training, and we hired the person to also do a specific student training. So when I get the calendar totally finalized with all the registration links and everything, I'll make sure to send it out to everyone in the region. It is for anyone interested. And I'm going to be totally honest too. If you have people who are outside of the region that are interested, invite them. We're in the virtual space. It can only help to, kind of get the professional development out on a larger level. It's not like it'll steal someone else's space. The more the merrier.
So Renee, my question had to do, and maybe it's something you're going to cover, so it might be premature, but I was really interested in learning specifically about what the expectation is for how the colleges are going to spend this extra 17. I don't even know how we were spending our initial allocation. And so I would like to know, what is the expectation for how the colleges are going to get rid of this money, both the original allocation and this extra 17 in such a short period of time? I mean, because this money goes away, does it go away April 1st or does it go away June 30th?
Oh, that is the question, isn't it, Marcia?
Yeah.
Okay, so these unspent funds go away April 1st. But fortunately, at the last larger the last LARC meeting, Salvatore shared that there had been the memo that instead of everything spent out by April 1st or really end of March, that we could encumber. And so the second I heard that, Marcia, I actually had all of these planned. This is going to sound insane, but I'm going to tell you, from March 22nd till March 31st, because I thought we had to stay in that confined space. And so now knowing that we have to make sure that all of the costs are encumbered by the end of March, April 1st, but you actually have additional time to spend them out. Now, I think technically we're going to have till that June 30th for those encumbrances. I am asking everybody in the region to please try to get all of those contracts and whatnot spent out by May 15th. And so that's just so paperwork wise doesn't get, caught up and then something gets missed.
I'm confused. What contracts? I'm still trying to figure out, what are we spending this money on?
Sorry about that. So say for instance, each campus had different priorities for how they wanted to spend it. And we're going to spend some time talking about that, and people can share different ways they did it. I also have 4 of our projects that couldn't be here today are campuses that sent emails on how they're doing it. So each campus is different with how they're expending it. What we've been doing though, is I've been working with the different groups or different campuses since December to make sure that the expendables are allowable. So we have quite a few campuses that are doing professional development and utilizing the funds in order to really ramp that up for their students. Megan Kaplinski will talk in a few moments. Long Beach just yesterday put on an ethnic studies summit that had 75 people attend face-to-face for an all-day summit. So the bulk of their investment was put there. We have Mount SAC right now is doing something that's so exciting. They actually have taken the bulk of their investment and have been putting out test preparation workshops in our region for CBEST, CSET multiple subject, and RICA, which are all requirements for TK through 12 teachers. Excuse me, RICA is only TK through 6. And so those test prep workshops, as of last count, Kyoko's had 273 people enroll, and they are consistently having 30 to 40 people at each one of these workshops. And I'm looking to see, I'll pull up the website and share it with everybody. It's like the entire page is workshops. And one of the coolest things is they were actually able to get their junior high assistant principal, who is an adjunct faculty member for them, coming in to do all of it. And so I've been in talk with this faculty member, this assistant principal, going, hey, if you want to do more of these in our region, let us know, because if you've got the ability, we have the need. So those are just some samples. We also have some campuses doing things like, let's see, some of them are, there's one campus that's creating a promotional video for their project, and we helped connect them with a videographer. That's somebody who is great and you know, can help them with the whole process. We have some campuses that have hired tutors or support coaches or student success coaches in order to give those students some extra, you know, extra support. The one trick with that, though, is it's not like you can hire a new person, you know, Marcia, like there's no time for that. But if you've got somebody who's already hired, you know, directly, then you could possibly bulk it up. And so each campus is kind of allocating in their own way. Marcia, I see your question. It's a private question about a plan from your campus. I do not have a specific plan from your campus, but Rose was on earlier today. And within the earlier meeting, I was sharing how we need to get an email from everybody saying how you are spending your unspent funds. And I've asked that their voting members and their deans are included on that email. So that way everybody's part of the same picture. What we did was we had everyone, we came together and we brainstormed in December and January for about 4 hours total. And then I was troubleshooting with individual campuses to see what was and was not allowable. So at this point, I haven't received like a full plan from everybody, but I'm hoping by end of next week or mid of next week that we will have a good idea for every campus and how they're spending it. Cheeto, I see your hand up.
Thank you. Is there a list of allowable activities that you can share? I don't know if it's already been shared. I'm coming in here from right field, so.
Yeah, you know what, Cheeto, there isn't like an actual just list of allowable activities. What we've been doing is whenever somebody has a question or they're not, you know, they're unsure, they come to me, and then I check. If I'm not sure, I go back to the actual paperwork and I look through and, you know, try and make sure that everything's totally like transparent and clean. And, you know, like I wanted to do a little bit of food at that campus retreat, and I was already like, okay, I don't think I can use any SWP for food, so I need to find other reason, you know, if needed, I'll just do it out of pocket, you know, and then I found out actually it was okay to use it for food. So, you know, we try to make sure we check everything, but we don't have like an exact list, Cheeto, but I'm happy to work with Rose or whoever at your campus.
No worries.
So Cheeto, see, that's something that is the role of the deans. That's why the deans need to be included, because as deans, we do know, we've been working with these strong workforce funds for the past 6 years now, and we do know what is allowable and what is not. And so, you know, so that's where you need to check with us. That's why I'm panicking a little, because there's not a whole lot that is allowable that we can do in 3 weeks, but you know, if there's something that we have in mind, we'll look at it. But
yeah, I think we'll communicate internally and try to move this along.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I also I hope I'm not coming across as being ignorant about SWP. I'm not, but I want to make sure that I check every T, cross every T, dot every I. Actually, it's going to date me here. I was one of the people that Vaughn sent up to budget committee meetings in order to advocate for SWP funding before it was in our TPP was part of the group that advocated with Vaughn, Vice Chancellor Vaughn. So I got to speak at 2 different budget committee meetings as part of the echo chamber to try and get this funding. And TPP, teacher prep, was part of the initial projects in common that Dr. Roberts put out. So I apologize if I'm coming across as like ignorant at all at Marcia. Like, I love what we do in SWP, and it has brought us so many resources, but I also don't want to do anything that's not allowable. You know, I think that's so important. And moving forward, you know, we've got this set of funding. The unspent funds goes until the end of March. The other SWP funding that Teacher Prep currently has expires at the end of June. We don't have shared funding past that at this point, but our team in our last 2 meetings has determined that shared funding or not, we will continue to work together and continue to collaborate and continue to look for funding together. Because, I mean, the teacher crisis, I know everybody who's on here knows this, but I've been in teacher prep since 2007. So I'm now 15 years into specializing in this one specific area of what we do in our community colleges. I've never seen this. And before teacher prep, I was in TK through 12 for 10 years. In 25 years, I've never seen this. So even though we don't have funding, as a region, we've got to figure out how to keep training teachers and keep training qualified teachers, because the federal legislation that's coming out right now is going to expand our field like we've never seen before. One example is one community-based organization that some of us partner with normally hires 200 students, 200 of our students for summer employment. This one CBO has over 2,000 positions for this summer. So they're like panicking, which is good. I'm not complaining. It's now all the districts and everybody are coming to us and wanting to partner and streamline and everything, which is fantastic. So any other questions, or I hope I clarified a bit there. Any other questions, or okay. Mon, I see that you've come on. Would you like to share something?
No, I was switching over devices. That's it. So.
Oh, right on. Okay, great. Also, I see in the chat that Marianne's sharing from Citrus about how they're spending on LiveScan for their child development students who are finishing their degree, applying for their licensures, CPR classes, child development textbooks, library loans. These are all that we want to do to really help our students as much as possible with this. Another thing I want to share with everybody, and this is I always try to be transparent. So if I'm ever like not sharing something, just ask me, because it could just be that, there's 10 balls in the air and I forgot to email it to everybody. Okay. But I put in here the spreadsheet of what our exact expenditures are for this. Let me put this up real quick, because I want to share one item with everybody, just so you know. Whenever I have the opportunity to help with the spending plan for grants, if I'm working at a college that has 2 pots of funding from the same source, I always overspend on pot 1, so it trickles into pot 2, because I was trained very, very, very early on in my career that you don't give money back. And I'm going to tell you something insane that happened when I was at College of the Canyons. I once was contacted by the grant monitor at my campus because we were 11 cents shy, 11 cents. I'm not lying, of completely wiping a grant out. And she sent me a text, any chance you have any other receipts? And I was like, yeah, I totally have a receipt for $20 here. Clear it out. And so it was really I thought it would be more of a hassle to submit the final receipt and we'll just have 11 cents left over. And I was taught, no, you give no money back, because then that shows that your program doesn't need funding. And so, because of that, I've overspent on here as you look at this. So we've got all the different people that we're contracting, plus how much we're spending for the promotional items. Remember, we're looking at 16 campuses of promotional items. So we budgeted $2,000 per campus approximately. So we're spending just shy of $32,000 on those marketing materials and those tools for our students. One other thing that I added here, you're going to see at the bottom, there's 2 contracts for our leadership team, Megan Kaplinsky and Leah Martinez. Megan and Leah have been part of our leadership team since the very beginning of the SWP 2021 funding. So these two stipends were supposed to be on that part of the grant, but I want to make sure this one clears out first. So if you total up, you're going to see that I'm well over, because those two, a couple of the things that are italicized are going to end up bumping to our funding that expires in June, just so everybody knows. Another thing too that I want to mention, Harbor College Liz Lopez. Okay, first of all, watch this woman. She is on fire. She is a dynamo. She should absolutely be leading our region at some point. Okay, so I'm just throwing that out there because we got a lot of leads on right now. Liz is creating a early childhood education virtual tour of 3 different centers that all of our students could potentially be employed at. And I'm really excited for this because she's doing some really innovative things. We wanted to bring them on like a field trip. We knew we couldn't. So we tried to figure out how could we bring the field trip to the students. She's actually already started recording at the different schools and is starting sending different footage to me. She's doing a combination of recorded and live. So anyways, we've got, got a lot of really, really great things happening. As you can see, a lot of experts are involved. I do want to mention to everybody, hopefully you've noticed this, I am included on this budget spending plan as well. I serve as a consultant for El Camino. I budgeted this would probably take me about 200 hours, and I charge El Camino $75 an hour for my work. I'm going to be totally honest with everybody on right now. I have already spent well over 200 hours on this project, guaranteed. But that's okay, no biggie, because we've got to execute everything we said we're going to execute, and I will spend as many hours as needed for this. But please know that part of the allocation is going to a stipend to pay me for my work as well. So again, just trying to be totally transparent with everybody. Any questions on this budget piece before we move on? Okay, cool. So I'd love just to spend a couple minutes now having some of the campuses sharing what they're doing with their investment. Hopefully, if you're at a campus that doesn't have it fully allocated yet, maybe it'll be inspiration. If you're at a campus that's not fully allocated, please let me, if I can be of help, let me know. I am a spender. Everybody who's on this knows. I'm like creative and out of the box, and I can come up with all sorts of ways to try and spend stuff out if needed. But Megan, could you start off with a little bit about the summit that you just had and how that investment is going to, or it has improved your program and enhanced your program?
Absolutely. So hi, everyone. I'm from Long Beach City College. I'm the Reading and Teacher Prep Department head, and I was able to jump on the funding right away by just like following every inch of its processing. So we were able to start utilizing it after it went to board for stuff that happened in winter semester at our college. We started using the funding for a winter retreat where faculty came for a 2 full-day session where we worked on our programming, redesign of courses, future coursework like a career work experience ed class. That discussion began. We also started to plan for promotional and marketing projects. And after that winter retreat, we used a lot of the funding for the Ethnic Studies Summit. So as you may know, Cuesta College is one of the first community colleges to create a Area F transferring ethnic studies in education course. The course is team taught, so it's cross-listed education and ethnic studies. My college is in progress with that course. The Ethnic Studies for Educators class has gotten Chancellor's Office approval. The education cross-listed title is in progress now. We're hoping that they will both articulate and be approved for Area F at the Cal State. So in our efforts to create an Ethnic Studies for Education course, we also are working in general to provide staff and student professional development. Our ideas align with ethnic studies pedagogy, that ethnic studies is something that should be infused into all teacher education programs. This is not just a high school grad requirement and a CSU new requirement. It is a practice and pedagogy and history that can work for all educators. So even if you're not a high school or college ethnic studies instructor, this knowledge and information and training can be infused in a kindergarten classroom. So it is its own discipline, and many of us educators did not get this in our own experience. So we used different funding from the the region for some of us to take ethnic studies courses. So we might co-teach the class. We're already qualified as an education faculty, right? But we still need to get that training ourselves. So using the regular funding from 2021, we went to ethnic studies classes at UCR Extension. I'm finishing my last essay for that right now. But for our event using the unspent funds, we used it for catering, conference materials, speaker stipends. We also used it for other things like yard signs to go on campus about becoming a teacher and joining our program. We got some promotional marketing items in addition to the yard signs and some ethnic studies themed t-shirts for students who do their work or they work at our events to be identified as that student worker or volunteer. And then we had a video marketing project stipend where someone wrote scripts for our upcoming promotional video and someone who could reestablish regional participation, or excuse me, university and district participation because there's a lot of staffing changes in the pandemic. So we needed to reconnect with our university and workforce partners. So I'll share the screen of just a couple of the videos. Am I sharing my messy desktop or do you see my pictures?
I see pictures.
Good.
Happy students. I think I see Aaliyah. Is that Aaliyah there?
Yes. So I wanted to show this picture of Aaliyah because some of you have hired my student Aaliyah, who now goes to Cal State Long Beach. She is here working with Cal State Long Beach's outreach folks. They had a booth so that we could include our university partner. This is our new ethnic studies faculty. He has been hired as full-time, just started this year, and we already co-authored a class in his first semester. So pretty awesome. Our college president was able to kick off our event. He has strong support for ethnic studies infused into all pathways. And here's our full house, right? We had a few no-shows, but we're able, aiming for 100, had about 76 at our last count. Faculty, students in ethnic studies, education, and any interested students, university partners, a couple regional folks, and about 10 of our local K-12 district came so that they can learn how to infuse this in their male academy and in their upcoming ethnic studies courses. So it was just a really a lovely experience to be on campus together. And I know that that is something that maybe could be used with future funding because you can't get that all done in March, right? But other uses we've used other funding from the region for included membership to professional organization ACTEP, class sets of textbooks, even though we are trying to move everything to OER, and live scan for students. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Megan. It's just so exciting to see pictures of people sitting together and learning together. And I've got to tell you, I mean, back in another land when I was getting my first credential, my first teaching credential, I'll never forget being in my program. And I was in a master's program at UC Santa Cruz at the time in the 90s. And one of my other people in the program came up to me. He had been a history major, so he had never done like teacher preparation, whereas I was coming from developmental psychology. So, you know, I had a lot of development. And he goes, Renee, how do I talk to a 6-year-old about racism? And I said, you know what, Alex, let's like work on this together. I absolutely, you know, at that time it was all about anti-bias and, you know, I kind of shared a lot of resources. He didn't stay in the field. He's now he's like the Salinas fire chief. So he's gone on to have a great lucrative career. But when there's gaps in training, especially when students are thinking they're doing what's right and getting the training they need and they show up places and they don't have everything. It's really exciting when we can provide these type of experiences because there's so many different levels that will benefit from it. So Megan, thank you so much for this investment. I know that you had to hustle so fast on this paperwork and everything. And the fact that you held an event yesterday with 75 people, it's like, it gives me breath, if that makes sense. Like it's like can breathe a little easier right now. Our students need us right now in a whole different capacity. So the more we can start, you know, being physically present like that, the better off for them. Thank you so much, Megan. Let's go ahead to Colleen McKinley, and then Leah is going to share with us as well.
Hey everyone. So at Cerritos, and before I even start with what we're specifically doing. I think it would be good to also remind everyone about this project and how we started on a pivot. The original project that was proposed did not get funded. And so there was some leftover funding that was offered, and we pivoted and came together with a different work plan. And so it's been a fly by the seat of your pants since the beginning. And this is unfortunately how it is in teacher prep, but I think we're fortunate with the pandemic to have seen how important teachers are, and that there are so many more opportunities at the pre-teaching level that our students can utilize to learn from and become amazing teachers in the future as well. So another thing about seeing that the funds are not spent is a lot of things are leveraged in teacher prep. So at Cerritos, we have, for example, a summer STEM program that has been multi-funded for the past 6 years. We did work with Cal State Long Beach with their Math and Science Teacher Initiative funds to half fund the program. And they have since not been able to give us that. So what this summer STEM program has done is allow students to take a class prior to beginning at the college. And then in the afternoon, they work with a coach on supplemental instruction and also teach out in the field in 2 middle school programs. With the pandemic, we had to adjust that because, of course, many summer school programs ended. So we now have a partnership with Downey Unified, and students are teachers' assistants in their STEAMworks, their summer STEAMworks program. And so much of the SWP funding has been directed towards preparation for the different versions that we've had to come up with every summer. And right now, I have coordinators and hourlies that are working on recruitment. So they're going into our high school pathways, and you wouldn't see that in the budget yet because we initially were paying them out of a different budget and it's being multi-funded. So I do want to just mention that, sometimes it's not as clean as, especially when you're flying by the seat of your pants, you can't hire in time to, or do, get through HR in time. So you have to pay for it elsewhere and then, transfer it later. So summer STEM has been the main focus. Of course, promotional and social media. We have a much larger social media presence than we've ever had before. I have an hourly that is responsible for developing that. Certainly, I realize at my age, I am not as savvy on these things as our younger generations are. So just drawing people into teacher track. And we've gone from having an average of about 50 to 60 students enter into the fall to this last fall, we had 150 students start in teacher track. So our numbers, we've got data to show that the extra promotion and the different activities that we're doing are resulting in increased enrollment, which will ultimately feed that pipeline of teaching. It's difficult to measure that because they're not going to be official teachers for several years. But certainly I truly believe that this is making a difference. So prep materials is another expenditure, but I think the work experience programs that none of us have institutional funding for are the main focus of the SWP funds at Cerritos College.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. I appreciate that. Colleen, I just called you Kath. That's so funny.
That's all right. I'll take it. Great respect for Kathleen. I'll take it.
Totally. Kathleen's very well respected in our statewide team. So that was a good one, right, Colleen?
Yeah.
One of the things that I did the moment I had a chance to meet with Adriana Estrada about the funding at El Camino is I said, what have we spent on the 2021 SWP funds? Because we need to transfer all of that to these funds that need to be spent up by the end of March, because those other monies I've got till the end of June. And that gives having that timeline changes substantially. Plus those items that were already, those expenditures were already appropriate. It wasn't like it was off at all. So definitely some creative ways to make sure we spend down for sure. Leah, would you share for a few minutes about what you're doing at Rio Hondo, please?
Sure. Thank you, Renee. I would like to actually echo a lot of the activities that my colleagues already mentioned. Rio Hondo definitely has been involved in a lot of, hosted a lot of workshops in the past. And I also would like to actually take this opportunity to thank the Strong Workforce people, because you have supported us in the past. And without the Strong Workforce funding, we would have never been able to start the Teach for LA virtual workshop series that had been such a tremendous support for our future teachers. And as far as the unspent funds, so we have actually started planning for camps and boot camps already, CTE camps. So every semester and every summer, we actually partner with CTE, with our CTE division. So we can partner with our middle schools and implement some boot camps at our, in partnership with our middle school districts. And so last month, we actually have a boot camp for GIS, for health and robotic, and that was very successful. So we're doing that again in April. And we are also in the works planning for the CTE summer camp as well. So we always partner, and we actually, of course, utilize our students to be the teacher assistants for all of those boot camps, which is a great experience for them. And also another thing that we are planning for the unspent funds specifically is personnel. So we are part of the Community Partnerships for Teacher Pipeline, along with El Camino and Cerritos College. And we have been able to expand our mentoring program from at Rio Hondo from 25 to we now have 105 students per semester participating in our mentoring program. So every semester we pair our students to teachers, and they get an opportunity to explore teaching. And our mentors, the role of our mentors is to obviously inspire, motivate, and support our students. And part of that project is also wraparound support. So we have opted to actually spend the unspent funds for part-time counselor, a success coach, and faculty stipends. And also we are in the process of doing a education podcast as well, which we are going to offer not only for our students, but also regionally as well as statewide. The reason why we specifically actually opted to spend our money for personnel is because of the concern that to this date, I don't think we have received a participant agreement that is fully executed. And unfortunately, the procedure on our campus is that in order for us to be able to start spending this money is we do have to have a fully executed participant agreement. So that is a concern for us. So we have opted to just make sure that we spend our money with personnel. So it will be a lot easier for us to be able to spend it by March 31st.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Leah. Just so everybody knows too, today on our earlier meeting, we realized that some of our campus, like we don't all have that finalized agreement that came from the new fiscal agent. And so I have a note to myself to contact Salvatrice later today to check in about that. And so once I get that information, I will share that with everybody. We all were kind of independently thinking we were trying to track it down on our campuses, and it turned out that there's been a little bit of a disequilibrium in terms of where it might have landed. And so we have like proof that the money's there, but actually finding it is a little bit tricky. So thank you, Leah, for sharing that. I really appreciate it. I also just have to say, Leah, it makes me so excited when you're talking about the CTE boot camps. I mean, I remember many, many years ago when we first proposed this idea. I think I was with West Ed, maybe at CCC AOE in like 2010 or something. And we were talking about career CTE camps for future teachers, and people thought it was like crazy. And you have a stellar program. If anybody has a chance to visit Rio Hondo this summer during the CTE camps that Leah produces, please go check it out for the day. it'll literally, especially if you're like having a really hard time at work, and then you go see this next generation inspired, engaged, and just on our campuses, and it's just like the pipeline's just feeding. So yes, Leah.
Renee, can I just make a correction? I'm not the coordinator for that CTE camp. I know, I would like to give credit to our CTE counselor who coordinates that camp, but I partner with her all the time. So, and it's just a great partnership actually, because our students get a lot of experience, from those camps.
I love it. I love it. Well, and I have to say, I just want to check a data point. Did you say that your students involved in mentoring in your program have jumped from 25 each semester to over 100 each semester?
Yes, yes. And
Wow.
it's a very exciting time for us because we have so many students now that are interested in teaching. Yes.
It's interesting because some of us are collecting some data for Sandra Sanchez and the Dean of Workforce Development right now. We had a meeting like a week or so ago where they asked for some specific data points. Leah, I might come over and ask you to reflect on these data points they're asking about as well, because I think the story might even be broader than what the snapshot they're asking for. So thank you very much. Now, Marianne, I don't think you're in a position to unmute and share right now. I'm just gonna ask real quick just in case.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I'm sorry, I'm multitasking and I've got to jump for meetings, but I don't have anything more to share than what I put in the chat. The faculty, have some ideas, but they've been bigger than the allocation, so I couldn't support that. And we may or may not spend all of them. I take a little bit of a different approach than you. I understand the college wants all the money spent, but I always look at grant money as my grandmother's tax dollars. And how do I want to spend my grandmother's tax dollars? And I always want to spend it on something meaningful. So that's the approach I take. And there you have it.
Marianne, I totally understand. I didn't mean to be like flippant about it at all. Like, we are absolutely stewards of this investment. So I was just kind of schooled very early with this one mentality. So I didn't mean to come across, anything, I agree with you that and I love the way that you word it, because I think that's a great reminder. I often use the word steward for myself, and I like to use the word investment, because I think that's important. That's what these are. So thank you so much, Marianne. Another thing too is Marianne's doing some fingerprinting at Citrus, and I have been working with her. She got me all these contact information and stuff so we could try to do it as a region. I realized I wasn't going to be able to do that by the March 31st date. And so that's part of the project that we would still like to do, but that's going to go with the monies that will expire at the end of June, just because I wasn't able to get that piece moving as quickly as I would like to.
But what I learned is that we already have a contract in place through Human Resources. So they're billing the Human Resources contract, and I'm just transferring funds based on the number of students that go in. So super quick, no board approvals, really quite easy and fast. And other schools may have the same thing. I think we've had about 40 students go through so far.
I love that too, and for those of you who are not in teacher prep, the fingerprinting is often a barrier for our students. And if they're in a position where they're up for a job where they have to pay the fingerprinting themselves, or if they need to pay the fingerprinting in order to get their child development permit or certification with the state of California and the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, we have students who drop out because of this. We now know that for sure. And so the moment that we can put the fingerprinting on our campuses and accessible to students, 45 people who are getting fingerprints, that means 45 people getting jobs, most likely. And that's what this is about. Another one quick thing I want to bring up also, I know we're getting close on time here. One of the great things that is working in our advantage for the teacher crisis and the teacher shortage right now is it is helping with some of the wage disparities we see in teacher preparation. And one example is, sometimes we'll lose our teacher prep students to Starbucks or to, restaurants for employability when they're on the pathway, because they can make more sometimes in those areas. But now, due to the shortage, we're seeing things like one of our campuses, or a couple of our campuses, is working with Inglewood Unified. And Inglewood Unified is trying to pipeline directly from our campuses into employability for the students. And they're starting at $18 to $20 an hour. We're working with a community-based organization starting $18 to $19 an hour. So while it's not the highest amount of money that you can start at, it also isn't minimum wage. And we're trying to get to more of a livable wage with what we're doing as well. So I'm seeing some good movement in that direction. Now, I know we're coming up on time and I want to be respectful of everybody's time, but I also want to open it up for any more discussion. Before we go to that though, just quickly, I have to give a significant shout out right now to Dr. Virginia Rapp. Dr. Rapp has been like a cheerleader through all of this. It's been very stressful with everything going on with my son. And so anyways, just want to give a shout out to Virginia, because when we needed her, man, she has stepped up 100% to help us, and with kindness and compassion in the middle of a family emergency. And so if any of you see Virginia or email her, just man, that's what it's about. That's what life is about. We got to back each other up with this kind of stuff, right? So anyways, before we wrap, I just want to open it up to any more conversation or discussion. If there's any questions or any disequilibrium, I want to make sure that we have a chance to bring it up today. So I'll get quiet for a minute and see if anybody wants to share.
We're going to do our best to try to spend it, but if we can't, I know that like the time of being able to shift it to another campus and do a whole other, a whole other like participation agreement and get that through, it's going to be really, really rough. But any type of creative things that any of you guys know, because I know that our campus, and Mercy knows this and Mon knows this, our district is not known for its alacrity. So it's going to be a challenge for us, but at least for me. I don't know if Mercy and Mon, if you have ideas, but just letting you guys know that if you have any tips or any ways that we could, use your vendors. I don't know, just anything that you have that you might be able to help us with, just let us know. Because I know that for me, it's going to be a big challenge.
Marcia, I have a really good promotional vendor. I don't know if you have a need for like marketing items. I know we're purchasing some as a region, but if you do, I have somebody who's great. And I don't know if they're approved on your campus, but I know other campuses have approval. Anyways, I'm happy to help in any way at all. And I'm in the same boat. I was actually asking, I'm like, so if we have one campus that can't spend, can we transfer the money? And they're like, nope. I was like, okay. That's okay. We can do what we can do, right? That's all we can do in this life. So we'll just try and do our best and bring good resources to our students. One last thing too, before we wrap for today, I want to share one other item. And please don't share this wide yet, but in the chat right now, I am putting in the Teach for LA schedule for the conference that's coming up on the 21st to 23rd. I hope you have a chance to look at all the fantastic sessions that we have available. Another thing to note, we record everything except the CalSTRS session. CalSTRS can't record, but we record everything else and then we put it up online. And all of our students who are engaged in practicum, fieldwork, and any kind of those contextualized learning where they can't be in labs right now and they have to be doing it virtually, we even have Teach for LA coded by if the presenter's a credentialed teacher. And so we're really utilizing Teach for LA in many ways. And so I'm excited to produce it again. If any of you email me between March 21st and March 23rd, I probably will not respond, because when we're in the conference mode, it's like this 24/7 machine of me, Yadira, Megan, and Leah for those 3 days. But thank you everybody for being here today. I greatly appreciate you. I'm excited. I get to go keynote for Teach for Central California at 12 noon today. So once we get off, I'm gonna brush my hair and get myself all ready to turn into a keynote in a few minutes. But thank you everybody so much for being here and for your continued support of training teachers. I mean, that's what it comes down to. There's so much funding coming from the feds right now. We're going to try our best to get some of it, continue this work, and whether we have funding or not, we will keep Teach LARC going. It sounds like everybody on our team wants to do that, and I'm happy to help in any way that I can. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. Look forward to partnering with you some more, and take care. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye. Good luck today.
Thanks so much, Marcy. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.